to see if it fits Long Beach. No, that one's
It is date night or date day. We came out here to Long Beach. I'm surprising her with a special evening. Do you have any clues of where we're going? What does that say? We're staying at the Queen Mary.
No way! Are you serious?
Yeah! We made it, and she's kind of excited.
That's an understatement, baby.
Apparently she's never been on the Queen Mary nor ever gone here. I have like twice.
I've only been on that side, babe, with the Carnival Cruises because I went on the cruise ship. I've never been here.
Oh.
You're here.
Wait, are you talking about the cruise?
That's the Carnival Cruise. That's the exact cruise ship I went on.
Yeah, like 2-3 years ago, right?
Yes, when I was 21.
When you started crying, drunkenly crying in the room.
Oh, yeah. 'Cause yeah. Yep.
We are heading back to the car just because we forgot some items. We already got situated. Tonight we are going to do a tour on the ship, and we are going to go to dinner after that. But first I want to get some gel from the car that I forgot, because I don't want to wear the hat the whole entire day.
You also forgot the charger.
Yeah. We're gonna get ready right now. Well, not really ready. I'm just gonna put some gel. Okay, the stairs really beat me up. I'm trying to hold
Cue the heavy breathing.
We're gonna go to the room right now. I'm gonna put some gel. We're gonna look for one of those ghost tours or a regular Queen Mary tour. We're gonna go back to the room, get ready, dinner, and probably go around Long Beach. I don't know. That's what we're gonna do. Nope.
Lost my guy. I like how there's one random guy on the ship.
It's a soul trapped in there.
Poor guy. There's like no people except for one guy. SS Italia, baby. The Andrea Doria. I think that's the ship that one of my relatives immigrated on.
Is it?
I think so. Hold on, I want to ask my dad.
Ask her.
I want to ask him. I want to take a picture too.
What happened?
He said it was Uncle Gino who my grandma's brother who immigrated on the Andrea Doria. That's some crazy stuff. I just saw the name. I was like, whoa, someone immigrated on that ship.
Sparkling wine. Thank you. Enjoy.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Again, welcome aboard the RMS Queen Mary. In case you missed it earlier, my name is Daniel. And before we really start touring the ship, we are going to cover a general timeline of the Queen Mary's overall history. The Queen Mary was originally owned and operated by the Cunard Line. From 1839 until recent years, Cunard held an agreement to transport mail to and from North America, giving their ships the title of RMS, standing for Royal Mail Steamship. Plans for the Queen Mary, along with her sister ship, the Queen Elizabeth, began in 1926. 1 year into construction, December of 1931, everything came to an abrupt halt. They stopped construction on the ship due to the Great Depression. And she would sit, no work being done to her, for 27 months. Eventually, Cunard had to go to Parliament to ask for a loan that would fund the ship's completion. The Parliament had already had a visit from one of their rival ship lines, the White Star Line. They were facing bankruptcy. The White Star Line might sound familiar to you. They're probably best known for the Titanic. Parliament came up with an idea. We'll offer one loan if the two companies decide to merge. The two companies did come to an agreement. They merged, creating the Cunard White Star Line, and construction on job number 534 resumed in April of 1934. In September of that year, the exterior hull was named the RMS Queen Mary and launched into the River Clyde. But the Queen Mary was not ready to begin a maiden voyage just yet. There were still 18 months of work left to be done. Finally, on May 27th of 1936, the Queen Mary embarked out of Southampton, England on her maiden voyage. She crossed the Atlantic and arrived in New York Harbor on June 1st. That is the route that the Queen Mary would be sailing for the first 3 years of her sea life. But then on September 3rd, 1939, they received a coded message on board from British Admiralty instructing Captain R.B. Irving to place the Queen Mary under full war alert, as Great Britain and France had just declared war on Germany and World War II had officially begun. It came in March of 1940 when the Queen Mary was drafted into war service as a troop transport ship. They would repaint her a battleship gray. Throughout World War II, the Queen Mary made 72 crossings, sailed over 600,000 miles, and she transported approximately 810,000 troops. Her role in the war effort was so vital that Hitler even offered a $250,000 bounty to the captain who could find and sink her. But in those 72 crossings, she never once came under attack. They never fired a gun on board in anger, and they never lost a soul on board this ship due to enemy action, earning the Queen Mary her nickname during the war, the Grey Ghost, as it was said that she could pass through open waters as swiftly, quietly, and undetected as a graveyard spirit. With her troop transport service completed in February of 1946, the Queen Mary became part of Operation Diaper, more commonly referred to as the Bride and Baby Shuttle. She would be transporting war brides and children from England and Europe to the United States. Those crossings were concluded in September of 1946. They began a 10-month overhaul, restoring the Queen Mary back to her former elegance, returning her to transatlantic passenger service in July 1947. She would resume her reputation as the stateliest ship for another 20 years. But in the early 1960s, she saw a new competitor, transatlantic air travel. It was now faster and cheaper to fly across the Atlantic than it was to sail. We started to lose passengers. Cunard made an announcement that the Queen Mary would be withdrawn from service and retired by the end of 1967. When the ship went up for auction, the highest bid came from the city of Long Beach. The ship was sold. She embarked out of Southampton on her last great cruise, October 31st, 1967, arriving here in Long Beach 39 days later. As I said, she arrived here in Long Beach on December 9th of 1967. Ownership was transferred to the city on December 11th, and preparations began to place the Queen Mary here permanently to become the unique attraction and elegant hotel that she is today. We opened to our first visitors here in Long Beach in May of 1971. In April of 1993, the Queen Mary was added to the National Register of Historic Places. Next May will mark the 83rd anniversary of her maiden voyage, and earlier this month, we celebrated the 51st anniversary of the ship's arrival here in Long Beach. And that is the general historical overview of the Queen Mary, the condensed nutshell version. Portions of this we will expand on during the course of our tour, but before we start touring around, are there any questions so far? Yes?
It is currently 7:15. We are leaving the ship right now because we have reservations at...
Going to Outback Steakhouse, B-Dad?
Yes, I was craving steak this whole time, dude.
Oh. No, I'm craving it too.
Good.
I'm craving some red meat.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
I always
Because
crave red meat, to be honest.
I'm so hungry.
I'm too.
I'll be right with you guys in just a second.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Start right with the sangria.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And your dog.
11. We called it the Jazoo Light.
There's your 11-ounce sirloin.
Oh my. Thank you.
And there's your porterhouse.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
I would too.
Alrighty, guys.
Cool.
Oh, man.
That's a big cheesecake. Thank you.
You're welcome. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Damn. Man. Can you just...
Look at that, dude.
That is like 2 cheesecakes thick. So cold.
We just finished breakfast. We're on our way
Breakfast?
back to...
Definitely dinner.
We just finished dinner and are headed back to the room right now. It's a little cold, and we both ate a little bit more than we should have.
Like those giant cheesecakes, right?
Yeah, the cheesecakes were too much. We had to save them for tomorrow morning for breakfast. That's what I meant to say.
But the steaks were juicy as can be.
They were bomb.
Bomb.com. Suppose.
We probably don't have enough skin back here.
I'm sad.
We're checking out right now. We're about to check out.
I don't want to leave, baby. We could stay forever.
Some ghosts are here forever.
In conversations.
But
Like
we're heading out to check out right now. We are going to drop off everything in the car, and we're going to come back to the ship to do the ghost tour and get some souvenirs because we gotta get some souvenirs.
Aw, goodbye.
You're so dramatic.
So
stories have been passed down to passengers and crew members over the years. Some of these stories reaching as far back as 1936, the maiden voyage of Queen Mary. Now, word to the wise for some of my taller passengers on board this ship. The ship was built in the 1930s. That being said, heights worked a little different back then. Somebody of my size was considered tall. Boy, do I wish that never changed. But that being said, please do watch your head, watch your step as we move about the Queen Mary. You will find that we have some raised thresholds, some lower thresholds. So keep an eye out as we move along. We're also going to be going up and down some stairs today. Pretty okay with stairs? Perfect. Follow me. Everybody. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I like to start these tours off by asking a very particular question. That is by raising a hand, who here believes in ghosts? Okay. Now the opposite, raise your hand if you do not believe in ghosts. Now raise your hand if you did not raise your hand. Very good. You belong to another category I like to call, and that's where you don't necessarily believe, but you're open to the idea, the possibility. I myself belong to that category with a little bit of a twist on it. See, I don't want to know. I gotta be on this ship every day. I hear things, I see things. I like my sleep, I try to get as much of it as I can. I find the more I think about some of those things that I see that I can't explain, the less sleep I get. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to a wide variety of different places today on board the Queen Mary. In each of these locations that we go to, we urge you to take as many pictures as possible. The more pictures you take, the more possibilities you have that you might see something on one frame that you don't see on another. That being said, pictures of me, $5 each. I only brought 10, so I can only take 2. Jokes don't get any better than that. Now, we're going to start off this tour talking about the boring stuff. Get the boring stuff out of the way. We'll talk about the history a little bit of the Queen Mary. Specifically, what she did back during the war. 1939, World War II would break out. In March of 1940, the Queen Mary will be drafted into the war. She'll be painted battleship gray. All of her art decor, all of her furniture will be removed, replaced with army cots as far as the eye could see on board the ship. Now, this ship was incredibly important during the war for a number of reasons. First off, she was the largest ship on the water at this time. There was no ship that can compare to her size. Even the great Titanic. Anybody know how large the Titanic was? The Titanic was estimated to be a 42,000 gross ton ship. The ship was estimated in size by its gross tonnage. Now, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, but the Queen Mary doubles her size at 82,000 gross tons. She was the largest ship on the water at this time. There was no ship that could compare her. She was also the fastest ship on the water at this time. To put it into perspective, this ship at cruising speed could reach 36 knots, roughly around 32 miles an hour. Though a German U-boat at this same time reached top speeds of 12 knots. The torpedoes that they fired, 18 knots. Literally faster than a torpedo in the water. This would earn herself the nickname the Gray Ghost, because enemy ships would see her on the horizon, start to prepare to engage her in battle. All of a sudden, she'd be gone. She was simply that fast. She never had to fire her guns, never came under fire. She was nigh on catchable. Now, Winston Churchill himself would credit this ship for shaving off 1 year of what it would have taken to complete World War II had it not been for her service. This ship was so important that Adolf Hitler, as well as the Emperor of Japan, both put a $250,000 bounty on her head. They knew just how valuable she was to the Allies' war effort. They wanted this ship sunk very badly. Adolf Hitler would take it one step further, offer the Iron Cross with oak leaves, the highest honor that a U-boat captain could receive if they were to sink this ship. Now, luckily for us, we're standing here now, so obviously no one ever collected that reward. Now, as I said, Winston Churchill credited this ship, this man, words are hard, credited this ship for shaving off a great deal of time what it would have taken to complete the war had it not been for her effort. He loved this ship. considered her his floating war center. Stayed on board the ship 3 times that we know of during the war, 3 times after the war. Felt incredibly safe on board because of how fast she was. Every time he came on board, he had to have the same room. His favorite room, room M119, just down the hall here to my right-hand side, is actually the very same room where he would devise the D-Day plans in his bathroom. That's true. He would have a steward bring up buckets of sand, and they would fill the bathtub with sand. And Winston Churchill, along with his war council, while kneeling around the bathtub, would plan the Normandy Beach invasion right there in room M119. Now, anyone that knows anything about Winston Churchill knows he was a heavy drinker, he was a heavy smoker. His favorite brand of cigar, Romeo and Juliet, was a Cuban cigar. He smoked it everywhere he went. Now, back in the day, smoking was a very casual thing. Everybody walking around the Queen Mary had either a lit cigarette, cigar, or pipe in their hand. Nowadays, of course, you don't allow smoking on board the Queen Mary. So in, 2012, there's a housekeeper roaming around the halls up here, and she detected the hint of smoke. She went into investigation mode. Followed the trail to room M119. Knocked on the door, got no response. Called down to the front desk to check to see if anybody had checked into the room. Nobody had. So she went ahead and let herself in. What she found, she reported, was a portly gentleman that was standing by the window smoking a cigar. Now, she immediately asked him to put out said cigar, and his response to her was to take a long drag off the cigar and blow a large cloud of smoke into the room. What she reported was when the smoke cleared, it cleared into a portrait on the wall, a portrait of Sir Winston Churchill. When the smoke had completely cleared, both the man and the cigar were gone. This housekeeper would then go down to security, report what she saw, and then promptly quit working for the Queen Mary. We find this very common theme here amongst the employees on board the Queen Mary. They have a rather large turnaround. Some employees that will see things, hear things they can't explain, make them uncomfortable, and decide to part ways with the Queen Mary. Now, ladies and gentlemen, my job today is not to convince you of spirits, nor is it to dissuade you from believing in spirits. It's simply to share with you the stories that have been passed down between different passengers and crew members over the years, sharing them with you and allowing you to decide on your own by the end of our tour whether or not you believe in spirits or disbelieve in spirits. However, if any of you decide to brave it out, stay in room M119, yes, it is open for you to stay the night in, bring a box of Romeo and Juliet's with you. I'm sure Winston Churchill would love a New Year's gift. Follow me this way, folks. Regardless of whether you believe in spirits or disbelieve in spirits, it's probably best not to disrespect the spirits. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of our tour. I want to thank you for joining me today. Hopefully you learned a few things. At the very least, I hope you were entertained. We've laughed, we've cried, we've shared so many emotions together. If you enjoyed your tour, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Brian, and I want to thank you for joining me today. If you did not enjoy your tour, my name is Eduardo, and you can file all complaints at the Mission Inn Hotel and Spa. Please do, I'll hear about it. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me, and have a wonderful rest of your day on board the Queen Mary. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just like that, our adventure is over.
I'm sad.
There's a submarine in the center over there. Are you going to ask him? Oh, wait.
Trying to see if there's rain here, because I don't know.
We're on a big ass rocking horse, dude.
People are walking by like, what are these 2 man children doing on this horse?
Right? You're like, every time you walk by, you're like, horsey?
Yeah, that's right.
Watch your step because the
Just be careful when you go down.
I know.
Very steep.
We stopped by to get some grub at In-N-Out. It's all the way over there. But the drive-through line is curving around over here. So we're just gonna grab some food to go since we are gonna have a New Year's party tonight. Today's the 31st. Yes.
Yes. That's for that.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Can I have a small bag?